Oh, really?
Welcome back to the Holy Huddle. Presenting yours truly, Ethan
Really
and
need.
Drew.
Yep.
And here we got another episode for y'all. Lots of interesting news and storylines to go over from this past week.
Yeah.
And just a bunch of cool stuff going on in the world of college football.
No doubt.
So I honestly want to start with probably the biggest shocker of the week. And that was the firing of head coach James Franklin.
Yeah.
Of Penn State, and kind of had the writing written on the wall already because
Yeah.
he sucks at winning big games.
Well, I thought too, just like how the season's gone so far. I get he made the playoffs last year and nearly played for a national championship, but when you just look at the overall scope of the program, it just didn't seem right. Even looking from the outside, looking in, it just didn't seem like they were really going anywhere.
They're kind of stuck in one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of agree with that too. And
well, and I think just also like the last 2 weeks, they've lost to teams that they for sure should have beaten. They should have beaten UCLA.
Here's something so funny. Nico Maliava has now gotten not one, but two coaches fired in the same season. The UCLA coach and James Franklin. I mean, he's on a roll right now. Is he going to get another coach fired this season?
I don't know.
He's making people lose employment left, right, and center. It's a tough job market out there, man.
Yeah. I don't know how many coaches have already been let go already.
And there's still Sam Pittman's gone.
Mike Gundy's gone. That was a couple of weeks ago. Oregon State's head coach is gone.
Coaches are dropping like flies. Nobody's job is safe this year.
No. I think I can't really remember a time the coaching carousel was this wide open at the start of the year. I mean, we're just now entering the middle of the football year. And we're already seeing coaching carousels just open up like crazy.
Some very prestigious jobs are opening up.
Yeah. Well, I think for Penn State, it's just obviously getting the right fit, but also getting a guy who can win those big games, like who can beat the Ohio States, who can beat the Michigans, who can beat the big teams, and obviously, on James Franklin. It was always said that he won the games that he was supposed to win. Obviously, the last 2 weeks isn't the case, but they need someone who can not only win the games that they're supposed to win, but also win those games that they are underdogs in.
Uh-huh.
And I just felt like I just felt like it got to a point where where Penn State just said, we just don't feel like we're heading in the right direction, and they were number 2 to start the year. And they're already 3-3. Frankly, they're going to be just fighting for a bowl game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
And I'm not going to be surprised to see some premier transfer talents.
Oh, yeah.
At this point.
Well, I think it was the number 1 running back in the class of 27 or 28 decommit from Penn State already. I saw a defensive player already. He was a big recruit already commit, and they're just going to keep coming.
Yeah, it's just going to keep on. The dominoes are going to keep on falling for Penn State, and it's just a whole mess right now.
Yeah.
And I sort of said this, we were talking about the transfer rule and stuff, transferring, firing coaches mid-season the other night.
Yeah.
I just kind of agree with some of the stuff, some of the decisions being made, that they have that 30-day transfer window in place for stuff like this.
Well, and I think what's good for college football now, I heard A&M's Mike Elko talk about this, but you know how there used to be 2 windows for transfers, so you never really knew your full roster until, fall camp essentially? Well, now that other window is closed. So now coaches are really going to have a better feel for where their roster and what their team is going to look like, because now you're not adding guys after the spring anymore. It's the off season, January through March essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that was a smart idea by the NCAA, because I felt like not only you put players give them more stress to worry about, but you also put coaches in a bind too, because if you don't allow your coaches to really see what their team's going to look like until fall camp, Like that's the major stress right there. You
It is
know.
a struggle. It is a struggle.
But I talked to you about this too. Like, I might not necessarily agree on. Well, I don't know if they should fire a head coach in mid season or like Oklahoma State did. But like you said, I mean, it's part of the business. We would like coaches to finish out the year to for players to be able to play for the guy they originally signed up for. But it's just where we're at.
It's just become so business central.
Yeah, yeah.
And winning is good for the business.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not winning, business is bad.
Other news headlines. How about Indiana going on the road to Eugene, Oregon, and getting a big.
Here comes the pressure. Throws to the corner. Touchdown, Surratt. How about that? They've gone back shoulder throw about 7.
Win.
Winning the game of the week, and the only person that picked the Hoosiers was Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
And yeah, he was extremely confident in his decision, and he was not backing down. And man, his prediction held up pretty well.
Everybody was doubting Indiana, and they really put the world on the map with this win.
I think Kurt Stegnetti, man, he seems like the real deal.
Great coach for this style for this era of football.
And not that not that he wasn't good last year, but this year, he's taking it to a whole new level.
He's getting ranked wins in the regular season,
and it isn't just one side of the ball playing well; it's both sides playing complementary football. They're feeding off each other, which is what you want if you want to build a good program, and that's exactly what. And he's doing it. He's done it in such a short amount of time.
I just find that phenomenal. Just going over more of the scores. I mean, let's just look at some of the stats from that game. Since we're at it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a very defensive game early on.
Right.
A lot of Roman Hemby was a guy that really stuck out to me. He played a great game. Very instrumental. 70 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Probably the best defensive player. Best offensive player for the Hoosiers and overall in the game. And Dante Moore struggled a little bit. He had 2 interceptions and a touchdown. Indiana's defense really surprised me. I thought they were going to get pushed around the whole night, and they really showed up. They really showed up and showed out. And Elijah Surratt and Fernando Mendoza continue to keep this offense rolling.
Yeah, and Fernando Mendoza I think, should be the front runner for the Heisman Trophy right now. Maybe a little bit below Ty Simpson, but definitely right up there.
And don't forget the Baylor quarterback who's leading the nation in all major passing statistics.
Oh, yeah. Sawyer Robertson.
Yeah, but it's just, you find it fascinating that Indiana sort of came out of nowhere. They just started to win games.
Yeah. Well, and for Indy.
When they killed Illinois, I was like, man, they're the real deal.
Well, and I think I looked at their schedule. Indiana does not play Ohio State this year. So there is and not that they couldn't lose a game down the stretch, because that's always possible, but they have a really strong chance at potentially going undefeated and playing Ohio State in Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship if they can hold their ground for the back half of the year.
And I think they would make it close too, considering what they just did to Oregon.
I wouldn't be afraid to go as far as saying maybe Indiana knocks off Ohio State.
Maybe we'll see an Indiana Big Ten Championship this year.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not scared to say that Ohio State could lose to Indiana, because you saw what they were able to do at Oregon, beat them by 10 points in their own place. So, yeah, definitely Hoosiers are the real deal.
All right, and then we'll go over Friday's game. That was the first game we covered. The South Florida Bulls absolutely demolish the North Texas Mean Green at 63-36. And this was a very one-sided game for the South Florida Bulls. Byron Brown with 5 total touchdowns, 22 for 28 on passing yards, 22 for 28 with 245 passing yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Byron Brown also was the leading rusher with 21 carries, 2 touchdowns and 82 yards. And the leading receiver for them was Kroger. For 2 touchdowns and 94 yards.
It's kind of like a low-scoring basketball score. That's funny.
Very similar to a basketball game, but it kind of surprised me that North Texas came out a little flat. Like
the pace setter. Brown takes another shot. Wide open Koger. Touchdown South Florida. 63 yards. Jeremiah Koger.
that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. South Florida's head coach is definitely going to be in one of these conversations for a head coaching hire. Just what he's been able to do with that program. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think that, I don't know. I don't necessarily know where he would go, but
There's some
maybe,
openings. There's some openings.
yeah. I don't know. He's done a really good job with that program. His only loss was to number 2 Miami, which is very understandable. But they beat Florida on the road. Yeah,
Who beat a Texas team? I mean, so this South Florida team is really good.
Yeah.
Dare I say they're the Group of 5 team that makes the playoff.
Yep. Yeah.
And then, short of recapping, going through this week's slate, the Red River rivalry.
Once in a while, they would just sprinkle it in just enough with David Shaw in that offense, and that's what you see with Sark now with Arch. Just enough. There's the wave.
Which the Red River rivalry was certainly something. John Mateer gets boxed by the Texas defense, and it's 23. And Texas wins 23-6. Sort of stunning the Sooners.
Yeah.
What do you got on that?
Yeah, I even talked to someone about that, one of my old high school buddies. I asked him, did y'all really think that John Mateer was really well enough to be able to play in the game? Because to me, like, he just looks restricted, and obviously he was a little bit. I don't know why so I don't know if they would have put Michael Hawkins Jr. in, it would have made a huge difference, but they just couldn't sustain anything. And also, too, at the end of the half, why they didn't decide to kick that, I guess it was a long field goal, but take the points, however you can get them. I don't understand why they threw the ball downfield to get it intercepted, I didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I thought, this is by far Texas's biggest one of the year. We said last week that basically Texas needed this. Otherwise, if they would have lost to Oklahoma and been 3-3 and 0-2 in conference play, it would not be a very happy Austin right now. So, but Texas won. They're 4-2. They only have one loss in SEC play. They go on the road to Kentucky this week. So, and for Oklahoma, they got to regroup.
Yeah.
So
I think Oklahoma's going to bounce back. I think John Mateer. I think this is a bad week for John Mateer to sort of come back and become healthy. This is a very bad week against a very solid Texas defense and a great rushing game from Texas.
Yeah, we can't forget. Even though Texas's defense looks sloppy against Florida, they're still one of the top defenses in the country. They still have Anthony Hill. They still have Collins on the edge. They still have Taft in the backfield. So they're a very sound group. They haven't played consistent.
Don't forget to throw Jelani McDonald in there.
Jelani McDonald, yeah.
But yeah,
Texas wins for a second straight year. I think they've only allowed how many points? Let's see, they allowed 6 points. So they haven't even allowed a touchdown to OU in the last 2 years, which is that's gonna drive Sooner fans crazy.
But really, there's nothing really eye popping on the stat book except John Mateer's 3 interceptions. Arch Manning didn't do anything crazy. 21 for 27, 166 yards and a touchdown. He didn't do anything crazy. The rushing game wasn't crazy. Quintravious Wisener, 22 yards, 94 yards. 22 carries, 94 yards. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
No,
you're right.
No, this game really wasn't crazy too statistically. Oklahoma just played sloppy.
Yeah, but again, like you said, I think they easily bounce back.
I think they very, very easily bounce back.
But the important thing is about them, if they want to contend for an SEC championship, they already have one loss in conference play. So, And then another game that we decided to do was BYU and Arizona.
How about that game?
That game? For me, there's not much you can say about that one other than BYU
just made one crazy ending to the game. I was not very happy about the way it ended. I was on the cusp of predicting a upset, and it sort of just slipped away from me.
Ryan, the tight end, in the slot left, and Martin out wide. Another design run, and Bachmeyer with a lunge does it again. He won't be denied. Fafita steps up in the pocket, launches, and the game is over. BYU stays perfect.
Well, they got what they wanted. They got the double team, and they got the route, little double move. It was a double move to the outside. That ball is thrown and just off the fingertips of Javen Watley.
Just a little bit. But it was a crazy game to watch in person. At least not watch in person, watch on TV live. And BYU really came out on top with really the big eye popper being LJ Martin rushing for 162 yards on 25 carries and a touchdown.
Yeah, for sure.
It sounded like a packed house in Arizona, but when it came down to it, BYU did not look the best. I will say that now. BYU looked beaten. They looked very beatable.
Yeah, and I think down the stretch for them too, I think they're going to lose a game down the stretch. I think they might lose multiple games down the stretch.
Yeah, especially going up against Utah, Iowa State, and Texas Tech in their next three.
Oh, yeah.
And then they got a Cincinnati team that's looking really good right now too.
Yeah, so... Yeah, they're definitely going to have the back half of their slate is definitely, they got their hands full.
Mm-hmm. And then probably one of the last games that we covered was the Alabama-Missouri game. And that game really came down to the very last possession.
I mean,
Missouri really let that slip away from them.
Man, yeah, that was a tough one for Eli Drinkwitz to take there.
Just a tough loss, man. Interception at the very end just because he overthrew.
3rd down and 10. Oh, it is intercepted. Intercepted by Alabama, Dijon Lee.
To get into the area. A bit of an errant throw by Purbuell again. And Dijon Lee, the true freshman, comes up with the biggest play of his young career at Alabama to ice this football game.
Hey, Mizzou came into this game at 5-0.
And they lost an opportunity there.
To really get a statement, one of the biggest wins in school history, probably.
Well, they'd never beaten Alabama at home since joining the SEC. And Alabama, too, that defense made a ton of mistakes there late to give Missouri a chance, but
Bo Purbuell looked really good. Bo Purbuell looked really good outside of that last possession.
Well, and Alabama built up a lead to start out the game, but then Missouri came back. They were able to respond, but they just didn't.
Yeah.
But I think coming in from Missouri as well, like I think Missouri has somewhat kind of exceeded expectations a little bit because I didn't really see Missouri as a big threat this year, especially not knowing who their quarterback was going to be. Just certain uncertainties about them that they lost last year, Luther Burton. So I would say this can still be a successful year. They're 5-1. They can still have a really good year.
Yeah, and especially with senior quarterback Bo Purbuell, a transfer from Penn State, who had sort of been sitting behind, playing backup this whole time, and he's finally getting his opportunity to shine.
But Alabama's defense did not play really, really well, and Missouri just let it slip through their fingers, man. I mean, that's gut wrenching if you're a Missouri fan.
Just came down to that last possession, and ultimately, it's whose quarterback was more talented, whose quarterback had more to give.
Yeah,
and ultimately, Missouri ran out of steam at the very last second, and it just sort of,
Well, and did you see that big hit that an Alabama player took for Missouri? I think it was
I think they may take a look at.
We're going to take a break, and we'll discuss it in just a little bit.
Was it James?
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. That was the slate from last week, week 7. Can't believe we're already in week 8.
Yeah, the halfway point. And, we're really looking at the slate this week. There's not a lot. It's a very slim pickings. Duke and Georgia Tech looks like a good game. LSU Vandy looks like a good game. Ole Miss Georgia, I didn't even know they played this week. Texas, Kentucky, Alabama, Tennessee, USC, Notre Dame. That's rivalry.
I think Washington State, Virginia is interesting since Washington State gave Ole Miss will run for their money.
There's actually more games than I thought. I'll give it that.
Utah, BYU, Notre Dame, USC. There's some pretty good games.
I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, let's start with Virginia and Washington State.
Yeah, okay. We'll do that one.
I think this is an intriguing matchup. This is a home game for Virginia, and they're doing really well. I believe they've only lost one game this year, and they're steadily after beating Florida State. They seem that they're just playing with even more confidence each week. I think Washington State. I think they come in extremely hungry, almost beating a top 5 team on the road at Ole Miss. I like Washington State. I'm going Virginia to beat Washington State and continue their march on to potentially compete. Yeah, to potentially get to the ACC title, maybe even contend for a college football playoff spot. You never know.
Yeah, they got one of the best offenses in the country, and I just think they're going to keep on rolling. Yeah. Virginia by a million.
By a million. All right.
And, another game in that I'm going to give the ACC a little bit of love here. This looks like a really fun game. Georgia Tech versus the Duke Blue Devils. Both are undefeated in ACC play. It's going to be played in North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, Duke's home stadium. Duke is favored by 2 points, according to the spread. And, Georgia Tech has looked a little human recently. Haynes King, has looked a little human recently. So, what's really going on?
Well, I've liked Georgia Tech all year. I liked them last year. I love Haynes King. I love Georgia Tech's head coach and what he's been able to do. They're 6-0 already. They're 3-0 in league play. Manny Diaz, though, is going to have a hungry Duke team. They're not going to back down whatsoever. I think at 11 a.m., Georgia Tech comes in, but I think Manny Diaz and the Blue Devils put the whole college football world and the ACC on notice. I'm going big-time upset. Duke Blue Devils upset number 12, Georgia Tech.
Not a surprising pick. It's not surprising to me. Just because Georgia Tech has looked human, and you would say that very close game against Wake Forest the other week, they smoked Virginia Tech this past week. Yeah. But their defense is really, really, really what worries me. But I still think Georgia Tech can play ball control football. They control the ball really well. They run the ball really well. I think Georgia Tech is going to win, take this one in Durham, North Carolina, and escape from the Duke Blue Devils' wrath. And, just sort of looking at this slate some more, sort of want to go into this USC Notre Dame game. The battle of the Shilad Jewel, or I think is whatever it's called. The Shilad something. Yeah. And, it's going to be at Notre Dame Stadium. It's going to be in South Bend. It's going to be at Touchdown Jesus.
Touchdown Jesus, baby. Home of the
Notre Dame is favored by 8.5, but I really love the way this USC team has been playing.
Yeah. Well, this was one of those unique rivalries in all of college football. And Notre Dame hasn't lost a game since A&M, which is ironic. But I'm gonna go Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame here. I just think they're still on the quest to get into the college football playoff. They lose this game. If they lose any more games, I don't see how a 3-loss Notre Dame team gets in. So I'm taking Notre Dame to win.
Okay. And, just looking at some statistics, Notre Dame does not have a very good defense. Their passing defense is ranked 105 in all the country.
Whew.
And, USC, they pass the ball really well. Their offense is air raid.
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley has always run an air raid system. I think there's going to be fireworks. I think there's going to be tons of fireworks in this game. But I really love USC and their passing offense to get the job done here. Notre Dame's defense has looked very bad this year. So give me USC to take down Notre Dame in South Bend.
Wow. That's a big one.
I like Jaden Mayava to get the job done.
Okay.
And we got three really good SEC games this week. That could be pretty good. Well, you know what? Let's give the Holy War some respect. The Holy War between Utah and BYU pretty much split down the middle on who's going to win. It's going to be played at BYU, Lavelle Edwards Stadium. There's going to be so many There's going to be a mix of blue and red in the stadium. There's going to be lots of people there from all over. That stadium is going to be bumping. Those awkward white people dance moves are going to be there a lot,
Yeah. I said I'm sick and tired, all these people saying names. And I don't wanna die, I wanna set the record straight. I gotta stay alive for my fucking soulmate. You can never understand, it can never be the same. I never wanna.
We look at this game, Bear Bachmeier for BYU did not look amazing against Arizona, but he plays well at home. He has some amazing talent around him at receiver and running back. But I think Utah has a phenomenal defense, and they showed that in the Texas Tech game where they ended up losing by a lot anyway. But I mean, Utah has the number ranked 11 scoring defense in all of the country. I really, really love Utah to get this done against a freshman quarterback. I really expect their defense to give this freshman quarterback a hard time. BYU looked human last week. I love Utah. Give me Utah to win this game.
Wow, you're on Utah. Wow.
You think I'd learn my lesson, you think I'd have learned my lesson, but I didn't.
You think. I don't think you have, though.
Not yet.
Well, considering this... Huh? Not yet. Well, this game's at 7 p.m. It's going to be at BYU. You know their fans are going to be rowdy. Like you said, they're going to be playing some random white guy music in the stadium.
I'm glad you went along with that.
But I think, even though I said BYU's going to lose one, I think they got to beat one of their big rivals. I'm going the Mormons. I'm going BYU, baby. Let's go.
Okay, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. And then another... Man, it's always Vanderbilt finding their way in here. They found themselves in here twice now. Vanderbilt versus SMU, 17 versus number 10 in the country. Both one loss in SEC play. This really determines who is going to separate themselves as a front runner in the SEC in terms of who's going to keep up with the Bamas, who's going to keep up with the Ole Misses of the world.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a very interesting game because... especially for LSU, because after this week, they play at home, but they play a rising A&M team. And so this is kind of like a must-win for LSU in a sense. But man, Diego Pavia, I wouldn't say he's Johnny Football, but he's just unpredictable in a way. Just his moxie.
He leads the team in rushing yards. Definitely unpredictable.
Yeah. And I might go a little bit bold here. Give me the Commodores. Give me Vanderbilt to beat
really
LSU at home.
You know what? I was almost thinking the exact same thing. Garrett Nussmeier. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and finish.
I was just gonna say, I don't know. I just think that this is a prime opportunity for Vanderbilt. They lost to Alabama prime time in the afternoon, but I think Vanderbilt gets it done.
They're at home.
Yeah.
And I think this is a massive opportunity for them. If it was at LSU, I wouldn't give them a shot.
Yeah. But considering it's at home, Diego Pavia has really just re-energized that entire fan base. Clark Lee's done a heck of a job doing it too. I think Vanderbilt pulls the upset.
But I look at LSU defense and LSU run game, that is really solid. But they've struggled. Garrett Nussmeier has not looked like the Heisman front-runner quarterback he's supposed to be. And, Caden Durham has been a little bit pedestrian. Eli Stowers has been amazing for Diego Pavia. Heck, LSU's leading receiver doesn't even have a touchdown to his name. Their defense is really where it stands out to me. But I think the Vanderbilt offense is insanely highly powered. So I can't go against the underdog in this situation. Vandy's been bad for so many years. Give me the Commodores. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They're hard not to root for.
I think it's Vanderbilt's way. I think it's their game.
I think it's their time.
Yeah.
And then probably the game of the week, in my opinion. Well, there's another good game: Tennessee versus Alabama. Not the game of the week yet. Excuse me, folks.
Yeah.
Tennessee and Alabama.
Well, this game is
going to be at Bryant-Denny.
Well, and this game is extremely interesting again because this time a year ago, both teams had one loss. Remember that? Remember Alabama and Tennessee both had one loss. Bama lost. It felt like all the world's falling upon them because they have two losses already for the first time in I don't know how many years, and the middle of the year, and they're in the same exact spot now again
Ooh,
with
this is
Tennessee.
interesting.
The only exception for Alabama is they don't have a conference loss yet. Tennessee does. That was to Georgia in overtime. And so when I look at this game, I'm like, okay, Alabama's got the home field advantage. Roll Tide, roll, like I mentioned. They've got the Bear, the Goat, and now the Boar. And then Tennessee's got Joey Aguilar and Josh Heupel. So this game's at 6:30 on Saturday night. Man, I don't... Give me Roll Tide, roll, baby. Give me Roll Tide.
Okay. I really agree with you on some of these things. Tennessee has an awful defense. Their defense is
Terrible.
awful. They allow almost 400 yards per game. 100th ranked defense in the entirety of football. And in the SEC, the 100 ranked defense is not going to get you anywhere. Give me the Tide.
No. Give me the Tide. Roll, Tide, roll.
That's a high-powered offense. That defense is going to hold firm, and I think the Tide are going to they're going to curb stomp. They're going to curb stomp the Volunteers.
Wait, I got a little question for you. Whose defense is better? Alabama's or Tennessee's?
Alabama's?
Slightly.
Both terrible defense.
By just a narrow margin.
Oh, no, not a narrow margin. Alabama's defense is actually 18th in all of college football compared to the 100th defense in Tennessee.
It's pretty bad.
And, considering how much Tennessee passes the ball, they have one of the best passing offenses in the country. And Alabama has the third best pass defense in all of the country at 136.5 yards per game. This is going to be ugly.
It's going to be ugly. I like that. All right, Ethan. Well, game of the week. This is where college game is going to go.
Georgia.
This is where we're going to see Pat McAfee.
Georgia and Ole Miss.
This is where we're going to either see Pat McAfee drink a couple of hottie toddies and have a fun night, or take off his shirt.
In Athens. It's in Athens. I don't know if he's having any hottie toddies.
Or if he's going to call the Dogs again and Kirby Smart to beat the Rebels of Ole Miss. What's your take?
So, with how much I saw Ole Miss struggle last week, it really sort of turned me off whatever Ole Miss has going on here. They sort of slipped a little bit. I mean, Georgia does Georgia things. Ole Miss is undefeated coming into this game. Undefeated in SEC play. The Bulldogs, they have one loss in SEC play. They're playing with a little bit of desperation. And I think when you're playing with desperation, a little bit of desperation, I think desperation really starts to come out. You really start to get more aggressive in your play calls. You really start to be more aggressive, if you will. You start to make things happen more. Georgia is an 8.5-point favorite, but Ole Miss beat LSU earlier in the year, and they have not given me any reason to doubt them. The Dogs lost to Alabama, who lost to FSU, whose FSU is 3-3 now at this point. I think this is going to be a close game, but I picked the Dogs last time and they let me down. So give me the Rebels.
Dang! Wow! You're going Ole Miss.
The reaction was just so delayed there. I didn't know what to think. I was like, they haven't let me down yet.
Well, interesting. I don't know how I can follow up on that. I don't know if I have enough energy to get up in my chair and do all my crazy shenanigans like I usually do. But both coaches are going to be trying to, give their best served cold plate to one another. Sometimes I call the Dogs and, go Dogs, go Dogs, go Dogs, sick 'em. Hey, Todd, who's... But on the other hand, you got Hottie Toddy, who's it gonna be? Will it be Lane Kiffin coming into Athens, Georgia, and pulling off the upset? No chance. Bulldogs by a million. Let's go, Gunnar Stockton.
And I really see a world where both teams, I honestly see outcomes where both teams win. I see it being a very close game because of how good Ole Miss has been this season. But we will see.
Hey, you know what? Gunnar Stockton might, he beats Ole Miss. He might get a hottie toddy himself and have him one after beating Ole Miss and have a good night's sleep,
In Athens, Georgia, they're going to get a hottie toddy in Athens, Georgia.
You never know. You never know what they bring on those planes from Oxford.
And that was the Holy Huddle for this week. This is Ethan signing off.
This is Drew signing off. Peace. Have a great weekend of college football.